TikTok, time to rock. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone who's watching from all around the world. Your friendly neighborhood philosopher, D. Wood, the Dizzle. With me now is the prophet of apostasy himself, Allah's last and greatest messenger, the apostate prophet. How you doing?
The friendly neighborhood prophet. Thank you. I'm doing very well. How are you, David?
Good. Why don't you give us a little update on the little one who's been keeping you busy?
Oh yeah, the little one. My wife just gave birth. Now we have a little boy, a little child, a little baby. This is our second baby, our second little boy, and spending a lot of time taking care of babies now, of a baby now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very nice, fun thing to occupy yourself with. Naturally, I don't have as much time doing all my other stuff here, but hey, at least I'm doing something that is good, right?
Mm-hmm. What do you like better, babies or the teachings of Muhammad?
That's a hard one. I don't know. I can't answer that. I have to think about it.
All right. So, have you noticed? I know you've noticed because we've talked about it before. But have you viewers noticed the meltdown that has been taking place mainly since Muhammad Hijab's interview with Sheikh Yasir Qadhi? Why don't you give us a little background? Although we're going to watch some video clips of a Muslim talking about giving us the background. But AP, have you noticed that the meltdown seems to have accelerated after that?
Yeah. It's getting better and better, man. It's amazing. Do you want to start from the very beginning?
Yeah, we can. Again, we're going to have some video clips to talk about this, but why don't you give everyone a quick breakdown for those of you who don't know what we're talking about when we're talking about these Dawah civil wars and so on. Man, there's some stuff been going on.
So it started long before we all were actually aware of the matter. I guess it started kind of behind the scenes. This guy called Farid Response or Fard Response, whatever he's called, started leaking
his name.
Email.
His name is Farid Leaks. Farid Leaks.
Farid Leaks. Okay, Farid Leaks. It sounds kind of strange, but Farid Leaks. Farid Leaks leaked some emails that from the Islamic scholar Yasir Qadhi, in which Yasir Qadhi was explaining his problems with the preservation of the Quran and the narrative of the Quran, the narrative of the preservation of the Quran. Farid leaked those emails to some other person, and they became a matter of the public. I don't know what happened in the meantime there, but this all led to Muhammad Hijab having an interview with Yasir Qadhi, and Muhammad Hijab asking Yasir Qadhi about the preservation of the Quran and the narrative of the preservation of the Quran. And Yasir Qadhi was first like, we shouldn't discuss these in public. This is very sensitive stuff. You know, the average Muslim should not hear these things. They will not be able to handle these things because this just contradicts everything that Muslims are taught from their childhood, that the Quran is one, it is preserved, and this and that. And if you bring this complicated matter to the public, then people misunderstand that and people have doubts about their faith. We should not discuss this in public. But Muhammad Hijab kept pressing him, and eventually Yasir Qadhi did start talking about it, and he used these popular words and said that there are holes in the standard narrative of the preservation of the Quran. And that interview became disastrous. It became a huge disaster. According to some Muslim apologists, some colleagues of these people, hundreds or thousands of people have started doubting and leaving Islam because of that single interview. And it became so bad that Yasir Qadhi took that interview down, told Muhammad Hijab to take that interview down. They removed it completely from YouTube, and they are also violently going after everybody, legally going after everybody who publishes excerpts of that video because they want to remove it from the public, because it has damaged Islam brutally. And after that interview, something has happened to Muhammad Hijab's confidence, to his temperament. He has realized that he made a huge mistake with that stuff. And then he started going out and declaring war on people left and right and fighting with everybody left and right, going after people's families, going after my wife and my family, being extremely dirty on Twitter. And now recently, he hosted a transgender hijabi on his podcast. Mm-hmm. to everyone's surprise, even to my surprise. I thought, what is going on? I didn't expect that at all. They had, of course, the reaction of the extremely religious Muslim community around him, of all his colleagues around him, was outrage. People have expressed outrage that he did such a thing, that he hosted a transgender person on his podcast. People started blasting him, attacking him, made public videos about him, about how he should be more careful, about how he's destroying the Muslim community and stuff like that. And then Farid and Daniel Hikikachu and Sajid Lubham, or whatever his name is, started attacking him, and he attacked them back. Mm-hmm. Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, and wanted to give a quick shout out here to Islamic Clarity. That's Islamic Clarity, and then someone sent me the video by Sajid. That was the only reason, because I'm not on Twitter, so I don't know what's going on Twitter. I don't know unless someone informs me. But someone sent me the video by Islamic Clarity, who was discussing some of the recent meltdown. And then Sajid's video, which Sajid's video is actually good. Obviously, I'm going to disagree with him and stuff, but a lot of the points he makes are entirely valid. His beliefs about the preservation of the Quran and stuff, those are, we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But his position about certain Dawagandists lacking wisdom. He's right on the money, but he actually gives a pretty good background, and so we're going to go through some of these clips, and we're going to discuss this ongoing meltdown. And so you've had this mess brewing, and you could see it with Yasser Qadi, you can see it with Shabir Ali, that you have this younger generation of Muslims, and they're rising up against their scholars and their leaders, the leaders of the previous generation. And guys, do you remember me calling this like 80 times? Do you remember me calling this, AP?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's what you have, and for those of you who who didn't see previous live streams when we talked about this kind of thing, here's the situation. For many decades, as far as Muslims doing debates or presentations and so on in the West, historically what you had would be Muslim organizations putting forward some representative of Islam. And this representative of Islam would be picked based on whatever would be most effective in that area. So if you were talking about the West, that's why people would put forward someone like Shabir Ali. He's nice and calm. He sounds very scholarly. He's quoting all sorts of scholars on whatever he talks about and so on. So they would put forward someone like Shabir. So what you had was Muslim organizations carefully choosing who's going to represent Islam in various parts of the world. Well, if some speaker starts getting out of line or gets involved in controversies or says something that they don't want being said in the West, or somewhere else, wherever we're talking about, then the organization can pull that person back, because the organization has a degree of control over that situation, and they could put someone different forward, right? So what's happened more recently is a Muslim speaker, Muslim preacher, whoever, debater, can actually take a different route. He can just become popular on the internet. So due to the rise of the internet, someone can grow in popularity without having to go that traditional route of, being an approved speaker by some organization. He can just become popular directly, right, through the internet. And then that person can then go out and say whatever he wants, because his words aren't being checked, and his reputation is not being carefully crafted by organizations. And so you have people like Sheikh Yasser Qadi and Shabir Ali and Jamal Badawi and these guys who've been representing Islam in the West for many years. Now you've got this popular level of Muslim apologists. So Muhammad Hijab, Ali Dawah, all of these guys on the internet, the sort of up and coming guys like Farid Leaks and so on. you've got these guys, and they're just becoming popular with the Muslim population. Now, what I've been saying is these guys, since they lack the kind of wisdom, that the older, the previous generation had, and since they don't have the same level of accountability that the previous generation had, these guys are just going to go buck wild. Their popularity is going to go to their heads. They're going to end up doing really stupid stuff. They're going to become, several of them already are narcissists and egomaniacs. And then what you're going to have is you're going to have the older generation start trying to rein these guys in. And these guys, you're just mad at me because I'm so popular. You're jealous of my popularity, and that's why we will bring you down too. And they will start crushing each other. And the younger generation will win, and then they will all start destroying each other, throwing each other under the bus. So that's what I said exactly would happen, and that is all I've seen happening, especially since the infamous holes in the narrative interview with Muhammad Hijab. Anything to add before we go on to
No, that's it. That's a good point. It was in the past so that certain individuals who reached a certain status within their community and also in the West became public figures who taught about Islam and spoke about Islam and defended Islam, because it required some acceptance from higher, more serious levels of society, from institutions, for people to become popular. And those people were popular in the past. They were popular 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And with the rise of the internet, of social media, certain individuals who should not be out there because they have serious personal problems suddenly started jumping into the ring and becoming Muslim apologists and scholars. And some of these individuals were even hired by more serious institutes, by more serious Islamic institutes and Islamic schools, and then were kicked out or let go, or they distanced themselves from those organizations. I don't know, if you look at these people, we have currently in the popular on stage, we currently have people like Muhammad Hijab, Ali Dawah, Daniel Hikikachu. These are all people that you would not have found among the known representatives of Islam 10 or 20 years ago. They became public by young Muslims or by Muslims in general without them going through a process of academic education. By Muslims making these people popular, they became popular. And when you look at these people, Ali Dawah is, I don't know, he's pretty embarrassing and pretty bad, and pretty bad for Islam in the way he treats people, in the way he talks about others, he acts, he talks about fellow Muslims, and so on. He makes implications of sexual assault and murder and all that stuff about people's families and people's babies even. I mean, that is stuff that he did. You would have never heard stuff like that from the known Islamic apologists and scholars 10 years ago. And Muhammad Hijab became popular through him, and he's even worse. He directly goes after people's families and, breaks from the traditional Islamic approach and does whatever he wants to do, while making so many blunders that cost Islam so much. And yeah, it's just hilarious to watch this. But what I think, though, is that this is the true face of Islam kind of coming forward, because now the average population elects their own representatives, their own scholars and apologists. And the most popular of them right now is Muhammad Hijab. And we all know what kind of a character Muhammad Hijab is. He's definitely not somebody who does Islam any favors when we look at Islam as outsiders. He definitely doesn't represent it as something good. And that person was made popular by the average Muslim, not by us. It says a lot about Islam.
Yeah, and so that's a situation we're in right now that, yeah, if you, as you pointed out, if you went back really 10 or 15 years, you wouldn't find people saying this stuff, right? I mean, one of these hand-picked representatives of Islam sponsored by an organization, if you were to ask, if you were to stand up when they're speaking and say, hey, does Islam call for my death because I left Islam or because I criticized Islam or something like that? No! Of course there are extremist Muslims who would say that, but true Islam would never say that you should die. Anyway, the people that were killed, it was for a good reason. They were about to kill Muhammad. So when Muhammad said when Muhammad said you have to kill these people for making fun of me, it's because yeah, they insulted him, but then they were about to kill him, and that's why you had they would just make something up like that. Whereas now they're just, yeah, we're proud of that. We're proud of that. We killed you. Yeah, you're gonna die, and you know what? We'll be watching. You know what I mean? They're announcing it, and Hakikachu, he said it too. So,
he's the worst.
Yeah, so
he's the worst.
You know what's weird though? That dude's smart though. I mean, I only watched one video by him, but I was like, whoa, hey, this guy's sharp. Doesn't mean, to be clear, doesn't mean right? You could have a totally wrong position and still be very, 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 very intelligent. And you could have the right position and be very, very, very stupid. But I'm only basing this on one video that I watched of him, but I watched one video and I just remember thinking, given some of the positions that he's advocating, he's probably going to sound really, really dumb. But I was like, whoa, this guy. But yeah, he seems very well educated there.
Oh, that is a thing. I mean, people. It's not like only stupid people believe in stupid things or wrong things.
That's true.
All smart people believe in smart things. There are many stupid people who believe in very good things, and many very smart people who believe in very dumb things, and that is something that we see here.
August Pryor said, David, is Muhammad Hijab a sociopath? No, I don't believe so. He's way too fragile. I've given my assessment of Muhammad Hijab in the past in a discussion with you, AP, and that is I've noticed a pattern, and I noticed it in prison. I noticed there were guys in prison who were big, tough-looking guys and stuff like that. And they would come in and they would be running their mouths and talking trash. Rah, rah, me strong, rah. And eventually someone would jump up, punch them in their mouth, and they would totally punk out. And then they totally become, like this, like, whose side am I going to be on? I want to team up with somebody or something like that. And the best way I could explain it is these are guys who psychologically they're beta males, right? They're not actual real tough aggressive dudes, but because they're very often these big hulking dudes, people always treat them like they're in charge, and so they live these kind of double lives where they start acting like they're these psychologically tough alpha type dudes, but they're not. They're looking for someone to be in charge, and it's basically. I mean, we've seen it with AP, we've seen it with me. Every discussion or debate that hijab goes into, he has to try some dirty way of getting an advantage, right? He'll say, okay, here are all the rules that you have to follow, and then he'll break them all. Or with you, he has to sort of surprise you. Ha ha, I'm here. I said I would debate you, then I said I wouldn't, but now I'm here. Ha ha, right? He always says, that's not a strong, confident person, right? That's someone who is deeply insecure about his own abilities and therefore has to try these things.
Something that he did there, just a quick note to add, don't forget where you are, but when he came in, what he did was to say this to me: don't be scared, don't be scared, don't be scared. That's what he said to me, Although I, challenged him to have this online debate for a month, he came in and said, don't be scared, don't be scared, don't be scared. And he immediately acted like he was this tough guy and people were scared of him. I was scared of him. Tried to apply tried to project this dominant, this fear, and tried to show this dominance over something which he clearly fled from for quite a while. So he is pretending, and he's wildly dishonest about his feelings and about his actual strength. Mm-hmm. But go on, sorry.
Oh, so I was just pointing out that's my assessment, that and that's why he has a lot of these issues, and that's why this only ends in disaster. He doesn't have a kind of psychological toughness that you need in order to be putting all your claims out there and be attacked. And you can see as soon as people start blasting him, he starts whining and complaining, right? Yeah, that also is not something a strong, confident person, like, did you not think that was going to happen? What planet are you from, right? As soon as you start whining about, people are coming after me, even my own people are coming after me. If you're pointing it out for some reason, that's fine. If you're pointing out, hey guys, I'm doing this, and look, these guys are saying, but this is why they're wrong. That's one thing. But so that's my assessment on. But that's why this can't last, right? The more popular he becomes, the more people are going to come after him, And the more, fitna you have in the Muslim community, the more of his own people are going to be coming after him. And if he can't handle that, which he can't, eventually he's going to break down in epic fashion.
Uh-huh. He posted yesterday or the day before, whenever that was. He posted how hard it is to be a Muslim apologist, to be a Muslim missionary.
So hard.
Are you kidding me, man? He said no one will employ you, non-Muslims will attack you, Muslims will attack you, this and that. This little whiny attitude. Like, are you kidding me, man? You are Mohammed Hijab. You are constantly telling people that they should stop crying, that you are strong, and this and that, and you want people to be executed and killed and exiled and whatever. And there you are. It is so hard to be a Muslim apologist, to be a Muslim missionary.
And the stuff they whine about, oh, people are disagreeing with us, oh, people are doing that. Like, people threaten us with brutal murder all day, every day. And we do point it out, but I mean, it's not hurting me, right? I mean, it's kind of funny, and we've been going through this a lot longer and under far worse circumstances than hijab. I mean, think about that, right? There's a guy who shot to popularity. Yeah. He's got this entire massive base of fans, and anytime anyone disagrees with him, he, you see how everyone's coming at me? Oh, I don't know what to do. Anyway.
So sad.
Allah's message here said, debate halal Homer. Guys, I don't know what planet some of you guys live on, but we've been practically begging Muslims to come on here and to have some debates.
I have said it before. I have made the challenge to debate every single one of these non-Muslim apologists. I've said I'm ready to do it. Let's do it in front of an audience, in front of a moderator. Let's do a timed debate. And although they all bragged about how they were to destroy me and destroy you and destroy us and destroy everybody, they are all suddenly quiet. I don't know what's going on. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying, hey, let's have that debate if you're so loud about it. But no.
Yeah, and we. I mean, especially when Sam and I would be doing topics, we would invite all of them on. We would say, all of you can come on here and have this discussion on this topic. That's how confident we are. They won't go near it. So Allah's message here, if you want to see some of this. Oh, also, after Anthony's recent debates with Shabir Ali, I had Anthony on we just went live a little after the debates, but I had Anthony on there and I said, for people who don't think that Shabir did a good job, do you agree to take on any of these other guys who think they could do better? He said yes. So that's Anthony Rogers, just debated whether the Bible teaches the Trinity and whether Islamic monotheism is pure. He agreed, and what's amazing is we'll still have people, well, why are you guys just here talking and not debating? Guys, that's not on our end. That's not on our end. So
I would, by the way, love to have a debate, a very normal, proper, respectful debate with Shabir Ali. I think it would be very interesting. I would love to do that. So if this ever reaches him, please, let's do it. And no disrespect, no mockery, nothing, just completely respectful.
And let's see.
By the way, I wanted to say something about Mohammed Hijab, since people asked about his psychology. Now, I am by no means qualified to make a diagnosis or anything. I'm studying psychology. I'm privately, constantly reading about it. I've been interested in it for quite a long time now. I do believe that he has a personality disorder.
Oh, I do too. I don't think it's sociopathy.
Yeah, I don't think it's antisocial personality. I think he probably. I will not make. I said I'm not making a diagnosis here. I'm in no such position. I'm not making a claim and saying this is true. But as far as I see it so far, it looks like he has a narcissistic personality disorder. To me, that's what it looks like. And on top of that, he also has an addictive personality. He can hardly stay calm. He probably has a lot of personal private problems that he deals with, which he lets out in form of frustration and anger against society, against others. Others then have to endure the frustrations that he himself has in private against the people in his surroundings or himself. But there definitely is a lot of stuff that is going on. Yeah, and he should take care of that before trying to save the world and trying to convert the world.
Chief Priest here said Muhammad Hijab's popularity and mistakes is a blessing from God to expose Islam. Now, obviously, AP can't grant that it's a blessing from God, but I know lots of Christians who think the same thing. Like, oh my, how the Lord is delivering all of you into our hands, you speakers and debaters. All these stunts that you guys have been pulling, and then you guys are the ones who have a meltdown over everything. But yeah, we have a comment here, and I went ahead and looked through some of Hijab's tweets here. And let's see, up here at the top. So hard. It's so hard to be a public Dawah personality. Hijab said, if you want to be a public Dawah personality, this is what you should expect. 1, become unemployable. 2, become a target for non-Muslims. 3, become a target for many Muslims who don't agree with you. 4, strain your family life. 5, be in physical threat. So hard, man. Makes me feel bad for him. But that comment about being unemployable, that's the reason I went ahead and looked it up, because Tiara said, if any UK employer checked up on Muhammad Hijab's social media, that's why Muhammad Hijab would find himself virtually unemployable. Has he been told to find a new job by the Dawah high Hijins? Yeah, so that is the situation. If you have someone who just can't control his behavior and does really, really dumb things, then yeah, that's why these guys are going to have some trouble keeping him in check. But Hijab, we know you're watching, Hijab. You can't not watch. You're a narcissist, right? Let me go ahead and break this down for you, Hijab. Don't listen to them. Muhammad Hijab, don't be sad.
So can you read this? Do I have to read it the other way around here?
No, you're good. No, we saw it. What did you do?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, whatever.
No,
yeah, this is just my little piece of solidarity. Just don't be sad, Muhammad Hijab. You're not alone.
Yeah, I want to tell you, Muhammad Hijab, you've become massively popular in a very, very short amount of time. You do not need to listen to anyone. You do you, man. You do you, because there are obviously a lot of people out there who want to see what you're doing. So don't listen to them, dude. Don't listen to them. Right? You don't need to worry about employment. You don't need to worry about working for an organization. If you get enough people cheering you on, they'll support you to go out and attack everyone. So don't listen to them, man. You do you. Same with you, Ali Dawah. You guys just keep rocking it. I'll be your cheerleader. All right. Now, before we get into these video clips, since we were talking about Shabir Ali earlier and Anthony Rogers, I just wanted to point this out because we're going to be focusing on this most recent meltdown here, because that's what the video clips we wanted to go through are about. You'll see this is from a Muslim. But I want to point out that this is happening all over the place. It's happening all over the place. So right after Shabir Ali's debates with Anthony Rogers, and keep in mind, if you were to pick someone to represent Islam on the topics that were addressed, whether the Bible teaches the Trinity and whether Islamic monotheism is pure, I cannot think of anyone better than Shabir Ali. Shabir Ali got crushed so bad in those debates that his own people started throwing him under the bus instantly. So let's check this out here. This is from Ijaz Ahmed, who said, help a brother out. Which debates of Ali's within the last 5 years would you say he's won? I don't recall any that he has won, to be honest. Now, why is this relevant? Well, I believe that Ijaz used to work for Shabir, and I'm guessing was his student. I've heard both of those things. I don't follow them enough to really know what the relationship there was, but I believe that Ijaz used to work for Shabir's organization, because I think Shabir, after Ijaz got called out for doxing people, threatening people. Because of that Shabir put out a thing saying that Ijaz doesn't work here anymore. So it looks like Ijaz was one of Shabir's students and actually worked for him, no longer does. And then as soon as Shabir has some poor debate performances, this guy just openly on social media, Shabir, I can't think of a single debate that Shabir has won in the past 5 years. So that is brutal. But that is, ladies and gentlemen, that's the exact same pattern we've been talking about. One, you see the same pattern with Hijaz as far as this meltdown, right? That just like Ali Dawah, just like Muhammad Hijab, these guys all started losing their minds around the same time and blasting away at people and freaking out and doing really dumb things. But in addition to that, now they're attacking the older generation, the previous generation. And unless something changes right now, they're going to keep blasting away at the older generation until the older generation is just gone. And then this younger generation is all going to destroy each other because they have a disagreement about something. And I want to go ahead and say that. So basically the scenario here, you've already mentioned it. Hijab had a live stream with a transgendered person. And he's doing Dawah. Hijab is trying to do Dawah and trying to show people how to have a conversation with a transgender person. The others are saying, no, you never give a person like this a platform, right? If you want to do Dawah, if you want to do Dawah behind the scenes, that's fine, but you don't give this person a platform, and then all the young Muslims are watching this, and so guess what? Both sides can make their case here, right? Hijab can say, hey, this is an issue. I'm going to talk about it publicly so people know that this is how you handle the situation. Other people, hey, you don't give that person a platform. They both have a case. But what happens? They go briefly. They go to war over it, and they're all calling each other out. And Hijab actually won that one as far as the battle with Fareed and Daniel Hakikichu and so on. But it's happening everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. The young generation is rising up. The popular level Muslims who became popular through social media and the internet, they're rising up against the Muslims from back in the day who went around and got their reputation by going out and speaking and debating. And these are exactly the kind of guys who will turn on each other, because even if there's room for disagreement. So I'm pointing that out because there's room for disagreement there. Someone could say, Hijab, I wouldn't have done that, but I see why you did that. That's the point you can make. Instead, they'll just start publicly blasting each other. And I don't know about you, AP, but I don't think this is the last time that's going to happen.
It's going to happen over and over again. It's going to happen just because we're dealing with Islam. I mean, it is bound to happen. It is bound to happen with these people. When you see that most of or all of the representatives of Islam that you see in public are basically people who constantly who are always attacking other people personally, and who can never have a proper conversation with anybody, and who then also immediately start attacking each other. Then this just shows how Islam generally works. This explains why Islam in its history was always at war with itself, and it will always be this way. These are not the select people. These are now the average people. This is now the mainstream Muslim guy from the street rising and becoming an apologist, and that average guy is sadly somebody who has a lot of hate and a lot of anger, a lot of frustration within him, and they will constantly keep fighting each other. I also knew that this would happen, and this is not the end. Worse will probably happen. They will start going after each other pretty badly. I mean, just I bet you will show the tweets of Mohammed Hijab, but just because of the little criticism that he received from Fareed and from Daniel Hakikichu, he made a series of tweets in which he called out Fareed as a dishonest person who damages Islam, and he called out Daniel Hakikichu as a dishonest person who works with deviants and with potential terrorists and stuff like that. And afterward, they came together and said, "Hey, I apologize. Let's be good," and all that. But you see that there is something underneath their collaboration, their alliance that they clearly have against each other. They they work together because they are Muslim apologists, because they are Muslim Dawah people, but deep down they are ready to attack each other and to insult each other. And yeah, that's how it is. But we shouldn't forget, though, although they are ready to attack each other, they still share the same ideals of. So don't worry about that. They still share the same ideals of Islam dominating the world and oppressing every single one of us and killing me and all that stuff. But yeah, there is something going on between them.
Yeah, and you brought up an important point there. What you're seeing right now, that they're all attacking outwards. They're all going after the unbelievers. Just to be clear, we're not talking about all Muslims. We're talking about the Dawah teams and the speakers and the apologists and people like that. These guys are all blasting away at everyone else, but then they'll also blast each other. And as you put, that pattern has been in Islam since that first generation, right? That Muhammad is going out and he's expanding and conquering Arabia and so on. What happened? I mean, Aisha, the mother of the faithful, marched an army out against Ali, the commander of the faithful. They started slaughtering each other over disagreements, right? They immediately started breaking into sects and then killing each other over disagreements and so on. And so it's a situation where you can't really say, hey guys, just stop all the fighting and disagreement. What are you talking about? Muhammad called the first generation the best generation, and the first generation almost annihilated itself with violence. So what you can say is, hey guys, we need to focus our, disagreements and attacks on either on the unbelievers or on, sects of Islam that are clearly, on a different path and stuff. But we're all Salafis here, or we're all this or that. So we need to be nice to each other. And so, and yeah, as you pointed out, I do have that tweet here before we get into some video clips. But Fareed and Daniel Hakikachu started pointing out, hey, this is not a good idea giving someone who's transgendered a platform. And Hijab responded to Fareed, which he's taken down now that they're all best buddies again. Question for Fareed: who was the person who leaked the emails of the private group to Abdul Rahman Hassan? Was this halal or haram? And are you willing to make a video denouncing the person who did this? And of course, Muhammad Hijab knows Fareed is the one who did this. So he's saying, will you denounce the person who leaked the emails when Fareed's the one who leaked the emails? That's why everyone calls him Fareed Leaks, right? But I mean, think about this, because this is why Fareed, it seems like this is why Daniel and Fareed backed down, right? Hijab, they blasted Hijab as if he's going to back down. And instead it's, wait a minute, I can blast you guys for all the stupid stuff you've done here. And then they're like, oh, okay, well, this is just going to destroy all of us together because we've all done really, really stupid stuff. We're all about to start blasting each other. And man, okay, let's be buddies again. Let's be buddies again. So, rough situation, man. But I mean, think about this. It's Fareed, you leaked Qadi's emails to people, and that, of course, led to the infamous holes in the narrative interview, which is what has destroyed the confidence of countless Muslims in the Quran. You really want to start blasting people for doing stupid stuff because you're the stupidest of all here, aren't you? Right? And Fareed, okay. I'm sorry. Wow. All right.
These people really think they can give Muhammad Hijab nice advice and just tell him, hey, improve yourself, be better. They think they can really do this. You can't do that stuff with Muhammad Hijab.
Oh, me strong.
Oh. He will not back down.
You don't tell me.
If this guy told them, hey, you guys, you're right, I'm so sorry, they wouldn't have apologized for being public. They would have said, well, thank you for accepting your faults. We can all be better. And they would have, they would have taken it as a victory, as for granted that they can now tell Muhammad Hijab how to act and how to correct himself. But that's not what Muhammad Hijab is. He can never back down. He needs to always counter, be strong, show that he is he has the upper hand, and he can destroy you, he can blast you. And even if it went forever, he would counter them until he explodes. He won't back down. You can't do that stuff with that guy. He's too arrogant, too stubborn, too dishonest.
Look at this, and this is crazy because it's still going. How many times do we have to answer this? Look at this. Darkness to Noor here says, Ijaz is live right now. Go debate him. He is inviting Christians. Guys,
I don't even know what it is.
I'll say it 1,000 times. Sam Shamoun spent months challenging people on 3 topics. They seem like topics that every Muslim would want to take up. Then Anthony Rogers just agreed, yes, I will take on any of your apologists on these topics. all anyone here has to do is contact and say, hey, I'm ready to take on Anthony Rogers. I'm willing to take on David Wood on this topic. I'm willing to take on Sam Shamoun on this topic. I'm willing to take on the apostate prophet on that topic. I'll make it happen. No problem. What I don't understand is how we invite people on. We say, hey, guys, we'll even do an entire week on this series. Everyone can come on. Everyone can come on and join us. Nothing but crickets chirping. And then as soon as we start going live on other topics, then it's, what? Why are you running? Oh, why aren't you facing them? My goodness, dudes. This is pathetic. All right, let's go ahead and check out some video clips.
Okay.
All right, so this is from Sajid, who seems like he seems to have more wisdom than some other people that we're discussing here. All right, ready?
Extremely hateful individual, though. I have no idea what's wrong with him. But yeah, at least, yeah. Okay,
Hey, that's something you and Hijab agree on, because that's what Hijab said, something like that. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
You know, the first thing that really just, to me, crossed a line was his first interview with Yasser Qadhi. I mean, if you're familiar with my channel and some of my older videos, I've been very critical of Yasser Qadhi. I personally think that he has said things, he's made certain stances so clear that his foundational understanding and perspective of Islam is incorrect. That whenever somebody of knowledge, somebody who's a student of knowledge or somebody who's involved in Dawah, for them to give him a platform, for them to try to cover for him or try to excuse some of the completely blatant statements of misguidance that he has spewed, I find that to be extremely problematic, to say the least.
All right, now so he sort of sets up the topic right there and points out that his first problem was with Hijab giving someone a platform, giving Yasser Qadhi a platform. And so that's actually a nice lead-in, because that's going to be his ongoing problem with Hijab, is that Hijab keeps giving people platforms that he doesn't think these people should be getting platforms from popular Muslims. But you kind of see here the same thing, that you have this younger generation rising up against the older generation. And wow, this is just going to be a kind of ongoing problem here, that the younger generation's going up against the older generation to get them out of the way, and no idea where this is going to end. I do want to say, though, now, AP, you say Hijab doesn't like Sajid here. We could look at some tweets. Hijab definitely doesn't like Sajid. You say he comes across as angry. I don't know him. I have no ill will towards Sajid here, and I really have no dislike for him, because I kind of like people until they do something slimy, right? And then that's when I stop liking them, or I want to go after them and something like that. But yeah, I'm not familiar with Sajid. This clip, he sounds pretty reasonable. If he is actually a really angry dude or something like that, that's a different story. What do you guys think? Do you guys in the chat, you guys follow Sajid? Because he seemed pretty reasonable in this clip.
I have to say, I think I encountered some of his stuff before. And I think he even had this advice to Fareed, because Fareed does a lot of responses to critics of Islam, to you and me and to people like that. And he was basically giving advice to Fareed that Fareed should stop talking about critics of Islam and stop talking about ex-Muslims, because this could cause doubts in the community and could make critics of Islam popular and stuff like that, and he should stop doing that. He's really very.
Did you just touch your mic or something like that? Because you just got your volume just went down in the middle of what you were saying there.
No, I didn't do anything.
Okay. No, all right. We'll see if we can figure it out. All right. Well, yeah. So we did have people saying that he's an extremist. I don't, I could still be okay with someone, obviously not with the person's views, but I could still, not want to be blasting away at the person who is an extremist, as long as he's not slimy, right? As long as he's not pulling dirty stunts. That's why, like Hakikachu, right? I understand what his views are, and his views are bad, and I want to respond to his views, but I don't think of him the same way that I think of someone who, like Ali Dawah or Muhammad Hijab, people who actively go out trying to do really, really slimy stuff. But we'll see what happens. All right, let's check out some more.
I just can't take Sajid seriously when he looks like that.
Why? What's wrong with you, man?
Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
All right, let's. He's gonna. So Sajid's got some problems with Yasser Qadhi here. Let's continue.
But after Yasser Qadhi clearly showed he has been poisoned by the Orientalists, that he's reached a new Einsteinian level of knowledge. He had that Ya'juj with Ma'juj lecture, which was just a complete disaster of a lecture. And then Muhammad Hijab had him on and praised him and gave him a platform and tried to be sympathetic towards these things and excusing these things that Yasser Qadhi's propagating. So to me, that was clearly like, oh, no, subhanAllah, what is going on here?
So again, Hijab gave Yasser Qadhi a platform when you shouldn't be giving Yasser Qadhi a platform, because his views are not correct. And I'm assuming Sajid here would say that, it's different if you were debating or refuting him, but Muhammad Hijab is more along the lines of interviewing and showing respect towards Qadhi or something like that. See, that's what I don't get, AP, is right. Like you're an atheist, I'm a Christian. It would never occur to the vast majority of our viewers say, I can't believe you're giving a platform to this atheist, or your guys saying, I can't believe that you're having this Christian on and you're not exposing him, or something like that. We do have people like that, but they're not, they're the exceptions. Whereas with the Dawah crew, it's, hey, this person either needs to be solid according to our standards on everything, or you need to be crushing that person. It's got to be one or the other.
Yep. Also, it doesn't matter whether I believe in God or not. What matters is whether God believes in me. And so
what's wrong with you?
I'm sorry for always being such a clown on your show. I know this is a serious environment. This is a serious show. I'm sorry for doing that. But no, that's what I meant. That guy has this thing. That guy has this approach that he is extremely strict in the way he wants his Islamist colleagues, his Islamist friends to be very strict on whom they host and whom they don't host, and what they talk about and don't talk about. So he has this extremely reactionary perspective, and would rather want many topics and many things to stay completely out of the public eye. He would want things to be. He would want to deny many things and want his Islamist colleagues to talk very selectively about issues. And he does that with problems and doubts about Islam. He doesn't want to clear doubts about Islam. He doesn't want to talk about critics of Islam, doesn't want to talk about ex-Muslims, doesn't want Muhammad Hijab to host a person like the trans hijabi, and so on. He doesn't want to engage with Yasser Qadhi. But the thing is, I know you say he seems to have a reasonable approach, although he's apparently a radical with radical ideas. It's just I can't really approach these people the same way. Although, to be very honest, when I look at Muslim apologists and how they interact online, I would much rather follow watch or read what Daniel Hikikachu or Sajid write, and I would much rather listen to what they speak and say than listening to Mohammed Hijab, for example, because I know that Mohammed Hijab is full of crap. He's not honest. He's deceptive. There is a strategy in everything that this guy does. He's just trying to be completely deceptive. He's trying to be a snake. Whereas these two guys, Daniel Hikikachu and Sajid, for example, are brutally honest, which is why I like listening to what these guys are saying. The thing is that the things that they are saying are terrible, and if you tried to interact with Daniel Hikikachu or with Sajid, you would quickly regret it. They are much worse. They are not as deceptive, but they are much worse in their thoughts about you and me and about all of us, non-Muslims and ex-Muslims.
Yeah, well, yeah. So, and that's kind of why I can get along with people even whose views I disagree with a lot. It's because in order to even have a reasonable conversation with you about your weird ideas, there has to be some level of, okay, we're not going to be conniving and trying to, deceive one another or agreeing to rules and then not breaking them. It's if you're like that, then you can't even. We can't even have the conversation. It's just I have to just try to expose you or something like that, and that's kind of what I'm getting at here. I can imagine again. With both Daniel Hikikachu and Sajid here, I've only seen, as far as I can recall, I've only seen one video by either of them, so that's not a ton to go on. I'm just saying, based on the very limited perspective, these seem like guys that I could sit down and have a conversation with and disagree on. Whereas there are other people that I can't even trust. You might be able to sit down and have a conversation, but you're gonna have to take some precautions because you just don't trust these guys at all. So that's kind of the issue. All right, we have earlier. Dimitri Forrest said, "David, what about Mensch?" I think that's when we were talking about people who want to debate. Yeah, I'd be a little nervous about Mensch, not because of his debate skills. I don't think he has any, but you don't want to start putting dudes like that on your channel, right? And then, he gets busted for child pornography again, and then, hey, he's on David's channel, all right? So yeah, that can be a problem. Oh, here you have it.
You don't want people to say David Wood had a guy who is into child pornography on his channel live. That'd
be rough. Here we have Islam or Jahannam. May Allah curse you and Apus.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And may the risen...
It is, by the way, it is Mufti Apus. Please
get it right.
That. Mufti Apus.
And Islam or Jahannam, may the risen Lord Jesus bless you and lead you out of this false, silly religion you've been following. All right, we're ready to go on to some more because there actually are some awesome clips of Sajid here. Let's go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
And then fast forward. After Yasser Qadi then goes on to teach these Aqidah courses, after having praised, the Orientalist universities and the Western thinking and shown how he's been so harmed by it, and he's teaching these classes with Orientalist texts on advanced Aqidah with no prerequisites, teaching books from Kufar, like it's amazing. Then Muhammad Hijab has him on again, and this has to be probably the most damaging podcast, I think, to date in regards to the Durat and the destruction it caused.
Did you catch that? Let me go back there.
Probably the most damaging podcast, I think, to date in regards to the Durat and the destruction it caused.
Oh, hang on. I got to go back. I got to make a separate video on this. This is Sajid calling Muhammad Hijab's interview with Yasser Qadi the most damaging podcast to date. Period. Right? Let me get that part again.
And Muhammad Hijab has him on again, and this has to be probably the most damaging podcast, I think, to date in regards to the Durat and the destruction it caused.
The most damaging podcast to date in terms of Dawah and the destruction it has caused. No wonder Hijab's mad at this dude.
Let's clarify what he's talking about.
Yeah.
He's talking about the interview in which Mohammed Hijab and Yasser Qadhi talked, and Yasser Qadhi basically explained that there are problems in the standard narrative of the preservation of the Quran. This caused shock waves among Muslims and non-Muslims alike, and has caused a lot of damage, a lot of harm to Islam. People are leaving Islam because of that interview. People are doubting Islam because of that interview. Everyone was in shock for quite a while, and they still are. But you know what's funny? What this guy Sajid is not realizing here, he's pointing out here in a major video which he directs at Mohammed Hijab, because Mohammed Hijab is so inconsiderate. He's pointing out that interview was very damaging to the Dawah scene and to Islam. It has caused so much damage. But what he's actually doing by pointing that out is to increase that damage and to cause even more damage.
Yep.
If Sajid was quiet about that, he wouldn't contribute to the damage. But now that he sits here and as a respected person, Muslim apologist, points out that interview was massively damaging to Islam and the Dawah, he causes even more damage, because people who listen to him will go and be like, why was it so damaging? And, it will do even more damage. So
here's what's cool. He actually... You haven't seen these videos, right, AP? You haven't seen this video that I'm going through, right?
No, I haven't.
Well, it's actually good because he's about to break it down.
Whoa. Good.
He's about to break it down why it's so damaging. And let's go ahead and... I'm not sure if it's in this clip or the next clip, but we'll go ahead and burn through these here some. All right.
Somebody said, Fred Sanford said, are there any clips of Sajid skateboarding?
Is he a skateboarder? Is that what he is?
I don't know. People are pointing out that he looks like a skater.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
And it just really goes to show that when you have a platform and you're reaching potentially hundreds of thousands of people, it's really a big deal who you give a platform to, what you talk about, what information you put out there. Because Yasser Qadhi came on this time, and subhanAllah, if people couldn't tell from his clear language about his usul being messed up, we've just seen him progress and just expose himself. But then he goes on to Mohammed Hijab's platform and starts giving the preservation of the Quran question. Like, I'm speechless.
Yeah, and for those of you who haven't seen that, Qadhi was extremely careful. He was extremely careful. He didn't want to talk about it. Mohammed Hijab made him, and that's why we love you, Mohammed Hijab. We love you for pushing him into that. And we love you, Fareed, for leaking those emails, which led to that. We love all you young Dawagandists for what you're doing for us. But Yasser Qadhi was extremely careful without basically denying facts that would immediately expose him as a liar, right? So he was saying, yes, all of the different kirat, they all go back to Allah. And what he's saying is, we've got some problems as far as understanding how we ended up in this situation where we have these different versions of the Quran in terms of how does this connect to the ahruf? And his point was, hey, so we have these, 7 ahruf, and now we have all these different kirat, and what's the connection? And his point was, in the Muslim community, we will give some explanation, and then we'll all accept it. We won't really challenge it because we're kind of looking for something to solve the problem. But Western academics do not have that red line. And so as soon as you point out something, they'll point out a problem with it. And Yasser Qadhi said, and they're right because they're quoting your sources to you. And so Qadhi still believes that all of these different versions of the Quran somehow go back to the original authentic revelations of that Muhammad received. He's just pointing out that Qadi's position seems to be we haven't figured it out yet. We haven't come up with the solution to account for this, because as soon as we offer one, yeah, we all pat each other on the back in the Muslim community and say, yep, that's great. But the Western academics will just say, nope, you're wrong. That doesn't make sense because of this. And he said, we're right. I mean, they're right. So notice it wasn't, the Quran's been corrupted or anything like this. The point is, for people like Sajid, that was still too far, right? These guys seem to want one Quran perfectly preserved right down to the letter, no difference anywhere in the entire manuscript history of the Quran. If you say anything other than that, you've been corrupted by the Orientalists, right? And it's so stupid, right? Go to Dan Brubaker's page. He's putting Quran manuscripts up on the screen. He's saying, look, here are 11 variants, textual variants, on one page of a manuscript of the Quran. He's doing that. How do you look at that? Look at a page of a manuscript and see 11 differences from the Quran that you have and still say, nope, perfect preservation right down to the letter from the time of Muhammad. What Yasser Qadi's doing is, and Qadi used to spread the myth of perfect preservation, he's recognizing that the world is transitioning. There was a time when the Muslim community was insulated from hearing these outside criticisms. And at that point, the scholars could say whatever they wanted. They could say perfect preservation right down to the letter. And there was no one to challenge it there. Now people are being exposed to it. So people like Yasser Qadi and Shabir Ali, they're trying to ease Muslims into reality on the issue of the Quran. And unfortunately for them, the Muslims who are raised on this strict diet of perfect preservation right down to the letter are flipping out and trying to destroy them over it. So it's just it's a pretty sad situation, but man, is it fun to watch.
It is hilarious, yeah.
All right, we want to go on with more of a video clip?
Yeah, I just wanted to briefly talk about Sajid's outfit. I'm just kidding. Go on.
Yeah, now I see lots of people going after Sajid's. It's funny. I can't even think of what he's wearing because I wasn't paying any attention to it until you guys started saying it. But now I'll actually pay attention. In this next clip, I'll pay attention.
No, I'm actually
to what
kidding.
he's wearing.
I know. I actually find it nice that a Muslim apologist appears this way. I actually find it quite nice. I'm just joking.
He's still not as cool as Mufti Abu Layth.
Okay, yeah.
All right, here we go.
I mean, not only did that happen, but both Mohammed Hijab and Yasser Qadi consciously, after the fact, posted it and advertised it. It wasn't like it was a slip of the tongue on live television, like they were live streaming and they got caught up in the moment. No, they recorded it. They uploaded it. They advertised it. I mean, if this doesn't show you the absence of hikmah, of wisdom in somebody's da'wah, what can I even say?
That is actually the perfect. If I were that dude, if I were Sajid, if I were Yasser Qadi or Shabir Ali or anyone who's kind of seeing what Mohammed Hijab has been doing, and not just him, Ali Dawah, all of these guys. If I were looking at this, that would be my explanation. They ain't got the hikmah. They lack the hikmah. They lack the hikmah. That's wisdom. You need the hikmah. The hikmah, right? They don't have the hikmah. Hijab don't have the hikmah, ladies and gentlemen. But that is, yeah. I
find it funny that Mohammed Hijab was very offended. He tweeted about it. He was so offended by it. He took a screenshot of Sajid and of his face that he looks so angry when he's talking about Mohammed Hijab and Yasser Qadi, and he was basically offended by how angry and how disgusted Sajid looks while he's talking about this issue, and that's why he went hardcore against Sajid and started blasting him brutally. But this is the weird thing. I still don't know sometimes how to think, what to think about Mohammed Hijab in general. He seems like he's not the person who could just stick to the rules and just go with the classical approach and the standard narrative. He's not that guy. He can't do that. This guy, Sajid, he wants to preserve Islam. He wants people to stop talking about questions. He wants people to stop exposing problematic things. He doesn't want to talk about problematic issues, questions, and answers. He just wants everyone to be quiet and to do what they need to do. But Mohammed Hijab is not like that. Mohammed Hijab wants to further bring difficult questions into the discussion and go after the answers. He wants to find answers. He's not like that. This is where these people are wildly different. Mohammed Hijab tries unorthodox explanations and unorthodox approaches to Islamic rulings and beliefs, and this guy is the opposite. This guy is a hardline fundamentalist who will not stray from the path, you know. And this is where these guys are falling apart. You can't put these guys into the same field and expect them to completely cooperate with each other and agree with each other. They will fight. They will eventually fight. They will eventually start attacking each other. And you know what? It is good. This is what's expected to happen. This is how things are going to change, and I hope they change further.
Yeah, and that's actually an important point. You have the people who, hey, we have our narrative. Don't rock the boat on the narrative, right? Don't shake me out of that. Don't bother me. And we're about to see this in the clip. We're about to see this. We're about to see him go into a little more detail about why he has such a problem with that interview. But hey, I'm really comfortable believing these things about my book, and you're shaking me out of this. And with someone like Yasser Qadhi knows it's a bunch of nonsense about the perfect preservation of the Quran, right? He knows that is complete nonsense. His question is, how do I break this to people as gently as possible, because it's going to be exposed one way or another, right? People have the technology to expose that lie. Whereas someone like Hijab, he seemed to really believe, when he's interviewing Qadhi, he seemed to really believe, there's some answer here. There's some answer that explains all of this. And if I just keep pushing you hard enough, you'll eventually give me the answer that I want that solves all these problems and mysteries, and I'll be the one who brought out the solution to the problem. So yeah, he does keep wanting to push here. And then you've got, like, you know, the Sajid and stuff, and hey guys, we know that there are some answers out there that we aren't going to like, so let's just stay here in our little bubble. Stay here in our little bubble. And so what you have, ladies and gentlemen, is all these different things are clashing right now. And again, this is fun to watch.
You know what I find very funny in all of this? There is one person among these people who calls himself a skeptic, the Muslim skeptic, and that is Daniel Hikikachu, who is one of the most hardcore fundamentalists here, who is also brutally against asking questions and, you know, bringing doubts to the public.
Well, he's skeptical of anything he doesn't agree with.
Yeah, I find that so ironic. It's hilarious.
Jeff Stevens here said, "Is that guy a Muslim convert?" I think he's talking about Sajid. I believe Sajid is, because again, I know nothing about him other than this video, but he's about to talk about how it was the miracle of the preservation of the Quran that convinced him that Islam is true. So he sounds like a convert.
Are you kidding me? Oh my
God. That's what I'm talking about, the psychology, right? So, and we'll talk about this in a second. Let me address one more comment real quick. Sola Scriptura said, David Wood, why don't you arrange that Muhammad Hijab debates Sam Shamoun? You've debated him in the past, so you clearly got some contact with him. Once again, I have no guys. I understand this from the Muslims. How are the rest of you not getting this point, guys? If Muhammad Hijab would agree, he could debate Sam tomorrow night on this channel. He could debate Sam Monday. He could debate Sam on Tuesday. They could do a third debate on Wednesday. They could do a fourth debate on Thursday. They could do a fifth debate on Friday. And then Hijab could debate Anthony Rogers on Saturday and on Sunday. That is not on us. You need to be going to these other guys and saying, hey, they've already agreed to debate. Where are you guys at? So
it's getting
kind of old going through this.
My debate challenge.
Yeah, and then the following week, we could have Hijab debating the apostate prophet. So,
please.
All right, now let's go on to this next video clip, because this is about to get awesome here.
Can't wait.
It's gonna be epic.
You know, ever since that podcast, subhanAllah, those of us who are involved in da'wah, like myself specifically, I'll talk from my own experience, the amount of comments I get from Christians, from people who are against Islam and they want to sow seeds of doubts in the minds of Muslims, over and over and over again, they use speech and quotes from Yasser Qadhi from Muhammad Hijab's podcast to try and do that. It's like every single day on social media. The reason I embraced Islam fundamentally in the very beginning was because I saw that the Bible wasn't preserved. I wanted to know, did Allah give us a preserved scripture? And when I found the Quran was clearly the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, clearly it has been preserved, clearly, no doubt about it.
No doubt.
That has been like the main talking point when I give da'wah to people,
the
to
main
Christians
talking point
specifically. So for that podcast to put a question mark on that for people, I mean, the damage it caused, subhanAllah, it's beyond words. You know, if you can't internalize and understand how horrible of a thing that happened, then I can't explain it to you.
This is no joke, brothers and sisters.
This is amazing stuff here.
Everybody who was doing that, everybody who was spreading the whole holes in the standard narrative.
This is not a joke.
You're doing an awesome job, everybody.
But guys, think about this, because now you understand what's going on. Now you understand why there's such a backlash, right? This guy said, I saw that the Bible has not been preserved. So I wondered, did God give a book that's been preserved? And then I found the book that there's no doubt about. It's been preserved, the Quran. And so that's apparently how he became a Muslim. He concluded that the Quran has been perfectly preserved right down to the letter. How did he conclude that? Did he go around comparing manuscripts? Did he study the history of the Quran according to even Muslim sources? No. He heard it, which back then would have been from someone like Sheikh Yasser Qadhi. He heard this, he mindlessly believed it without investigating, and then all of his confidence in his religion was based on that, which is a complete lie. And then, at no point did he ever bother to actually seriously investigate this, which was, again, the entire basis for his confidence in Islam. He then went out and used this in his dawah to Christians. You Christians, your book has textual variants. In the Quran, there are no textual variants. Not one, anywhere. Perfect preservation right down to the letter. It's a miracle. Alhamdulillah. Right?
The truth is so hard.
Yeah. And then, so basically someone like Yasser Qadhi comes out and it's, let's face it, what Yasser Qadhi's interview is, guys, we're living in a difficult time of technology where if I tell you the truth about the Quran right now, I will get blasted by all of you for destroying your faith. But if I go ahead and continue the lie like I used to do in the past, I'm going to get laughed out of academia, because if I say something as insane and stupid as perfect preservation right down to the letter, I will never be able to show my face at another academic conference again, because they will all know that I'm a liar and I will have the reputation of a horribly, horribly dishonest person. That's what he put out there, right? And so it's just, oh yes, keep your confidence. We're working on a solution, but there's some holes in the narrative. And then he can't take it, right? This would destroy my faith. This would destroy my faith. And what's the solution? We have to marginalize people like Yasser Qadhi, represent him as some sort of heretic or something like that, someone you should never listen to. And that's what you're left with. And notice he's complaining, and now when I do my dawah, I can't even do my dawah anymore. I go to the Christians and I say, Christians, did you know that your book's been changed, but there's only one Quran anywhere? No difference anywhere in any manuscript? And they go, yeah, what about Yasser Qadhi over there? No, I can't take it. Why the Yasser Qadhi? Right, guys, look, I'm just going to,
fantastic.
For those of you who are unfamiliar with the issue, I'm going to give you both sides real quick, right? Has the Bible been corrupted? That depends on what you mean by corruption, right? If you mean textual variants, yes, there are tons of textual variants in the manuscript tradition of the Bible. Guess what? It's always this. Anytime you have human beings copying large books by hand, you're going to get textual variants. The vast majority of things that can't even be translated, right? They're like spelling differences and things like that, where the word John, for instance, in Greek can be spelled with one N or two N's. Well, guess what? You'll find a bunch of manuscripts that spell John with one N, and you'll find a bunch of manuscripts that spell John with two N's. Those are textual variants. Those count as differences, right? You have a couple of instances where it's actually a significant passage. That's the longer ending of the Gospel of Mark and the woman caught in adultery. Other than that, they're small things. Some of them do affect translation, but what you never ever have is something that would undermine a Christian doctrine, right? So what you have is exactly what you would expect if you have a book being copied thousands of times by human beings. You end up, the more manuscripts you have, the more textual variants you have, right? So that's the situation. You have that. That's one thing you could point out. And you could also point out that during the time of canonization, when they're establishing what are the books of the New Testament, there were some disagreements about some of the smaller books like 2nd and 3rd John and so on, right? And that's because those weren't circulated in the same way that like the Gospel of Matthew and Gospel of Mark and those circulated widely. Some of those smaller letters were directed towards a certain area, and they kind of remained in that area. And so once you're getting to the point in history where, hey, we're gonna talk about what are the books of the New Testament, some people in other areas are like, wait a minute, we don't use that book. And so you had those kinds of disagreements. So those are the things you can say honestly. You have lots of textual variants, differences in the manuscripts. You had some dispute about some of the smaller books of the New Testament. And at the end of the day, none of the differences would undermine any important Christian doctrine. Right? So that's what you can say and not be either completely ignorant or a liar. Right? That's what you can say. Guess what? If that's what you mean by corruption, because that's not what I mean by corruption, right? If that is what you mean by corruption, you say that's what corruption is, guess what? The Quran's been corrupted. Do you have tons of textual variants in the manuscript history of the Quran? Yep, lots of them. Lots and lots and lots of them. You have tons of textual variants. So if that's what you mean by corruption, then your book's been corrupt. If your definition of corruption is, well, if you have some disputes about what goes into there, guess what? Abdullah ibn Masud said there are 111 chapters in the Quran. Ubay ibn Ka'b said there are 116 chapters in the Quran. And the Quran you have today has 114 chapters. Did they have disputes? Yes. Yes. According to Abdullah ibn Masud, Surah 1, Surah 113, Surah 114 aren't supposed to be in the Quran. Those are Muslim prayers. They're not supposed to be. That's Muslims talking to Allah, not Allah talking to Muslims. And then Ubay ibn Ka'b, he said, nope, you got these 114, but you actually have 2 additional chapters that aren't in there. Those are 2 additional prayers. Do you have disagreements about some of the contents? Yes. Now, what would a Muslim say? But even though you have that, it doesn't affect any major Christian doctrine. That's Shabir Ali's response now. Yes, even though you have different versions of the Quran around the world, it's not something that would affect any Muslim doctrine. What are you saying? You're saying exactly what Christians say. So this just comes down to an issue of consistency, right? This comes down to consistency. If you're saying that the Bible's been corrupted because of those issues, then great, the Quran's been corrupted. Alternatively, if you're saying that the Quran has not been corrupted, then you shouldn't say the Bible's been corrupted either. But what Muslims want to do is say the Quran hasn't been corrupted, perfectly preserved right down to the letter, but the Bible's been corrupted because it has the same issues that we find in the Quran. But we've been lying about it for so long, whereas Christians have been honest about it for so long, that we can't get our minds around anything other than the lie. And notice, guys, because I'm talking to you Muslims who are watching, this should bother you. Why is it that you can walk into any Christian bookstore right now? I can pull any Bible off my shelf right now and go to the footnotes, and it'll say, there's a textual variant in this verse. There's a textual variant in this passage. It tells me. We do not hide that. You can go into any Christian bookstore and find entire books on textual criticism. We do not hide that. Our scholars do not hide that. Our scholars do not try to keep people insulated from reality. You go over to Islam, and your scholars lie to you your entire lives. They pretend it. You don't go into a Muslim bookstore and find this. You don't find these notes at the bottom of your Quran saying, look at all these, there's a textual variant here, there's a textual variant there. So somehow it's like we want the lie. And you see this from Sajid, right? I want the lie. The lie is what convinced me that Islam is true. The lie is what I use for my dawah. I cannot stand these Christians who now have to tell me the truth about my religion. And they use Yasser Qadi, who for a brief moment in his entire career told the truth. I can't take that. I can't stand it. Why don't you guys just shut up? I want all of you to be destroyed. You keep telling me the truth and I can't take it. I hate this. It's making me uncomfortable. Dude, Sajid, dude, if your confidence in Islam is based on the amazing preservation of the Quran, I go to your sources and I read about entire chapters coming up missing, you can check it out. Sahih Muslim, 2286. Abu Musa talks about 2 entire chapters of the Quran coming up missing. Aisha said that more than 100 verses came up missing just from Surah 33. Ubay ibn Ka'b said it was even more. He said it was over 200 verses that came up missing. Aisha talks about verses being eaten by a sheep. You can go to the different Qira'at and see differences even in the Qurans you have today. What possible basis could you have for believing the Quran's been perfectly preserved? The only way you could even defend a stupid, idiotic claim like that would be to have the original and to have all the manuscripts and to show all of the manuscripts ever line up perfectly with that original. That's the only way you could maintain perfect preservation. But you can't do that because that's not true. I mean, even you would have to know that's not true, right? So what do you mean by perfect preservation? What in the world do you mean? It's not based on any evidence. In fact, it contradicts and flies in the face of every shred of evidence we have. And this is the basis of your religion. This is the basis of your confidence in Islam and the ground of your dawah to others. The basis of your confidence in Islam and of your dawah to other people is something that everyone who really studies this issue knows is a complete, utter, total lie. The foundation of your belief is a lie. What's that tell us? And the fact that you can't acknowledge it and you'll just say, well, I will destroy the career of anyone who disagrees with me and I will expose him and we will marginalize them. What does that tell us about the religion? It makes it sound like you're saying, I just want lies, more lies, never the truth. I can't stand the truth. I want to hide in the dark. Don't open a window. Don't open the curtains. I can't take it. This is your religion, dude? And you're telling all of us, you're telling the rest of the world what they need to do when this is how you live? All right, sorry I went on for so long, AP, but I didn't want to get my thoughts out there.
It was a necessary rant. I feel like you had to let it out there. Yeah.
All right. Should we check out another video clip?
Well, what video clip? Is there another one?
Yeah, because he has a couple of. I have some shorter clips from him because that was all the Yasser Qadi stuff. But then he's going to complain about Jonathan Brown. He's going to complain about what hijab did on Twitter with us. So there's some good clips coming up.
We should do the Twitter one. That's interesting. Yeah.
All right, so let's play the Jonathan Brown clip real quick, and then right after that with Twitter. So I'll just play this, AP. Then you can share any thoughts on that, and then we'll go on to the Twitter one.
Yeah, for those who don't know who Jonathan Brown is, he's part of the Yaqeen Institute in America, which is I think the biggest Islamic knowledge institute in America, I guess. And although he is a fundamentalist Islamic scholar, he has some approaches that these fundamentalist Muslims are quite angry about, and they accuse him of kind of reforming and changing Islam to make it more approachable by us bad non-Muslims. Yeah, so go.
Here we go.
And you'd think that that's enough, but it's not. Like, there's so much more that can be said. I mean, there was the Muhammad Hijab podcast with Jonathan Brown. You know, it's been made so crystal clear. Jonathan Brown, another person who just out of his own mouth has told you exactly the misguidance that he spews clearly, propagating the idea that people have the right to insult the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he's given a platform on Muhammad Hijab's podcast where Muhammad Hijab, he's trying to, get him to say the right thing, just like he did with Yasser Qadi. But Jonathan Brown, just like Yasser Qadi, keeps doubling down, letting you know, no, that's how he really feels.
Any thoughts on that, AP?
I say something here. I really want to be careful with the terms that I use here, with the words that I speak here. But Jonathan Brown is not somebody whom we critics of Islam and non-Muslims should be thankful to. He is not somebody who is changing Islam or reforming Islam or sugarcoating and making Islam better. He is somebody who has a strategy, who goes a different way to go to the same end goal, which is to impose Islam and to live in an Islamic world where Islam is, in the most brutally authoritarian way, imposed on the rest of us. The issue is that Jonathan Brown is a Muslim apologist, a Muslim scholar who wants to make Islam as sweet as possible and as innocent as possible to the public on our way to Islamic, domination and majority. He does still believe that we should in the future live in a state where people cannot insult Muhammad, where people cannot leave Islam and criticize Islam, where people cannot do all these things that Sajid also thinks people should not do. But he sugarcoats Islam on its way to get there just because he needs to, because he's in America and he sees that people don't like Islam because of how authoritarian and hateful and awful Islam is. He wants to make Islam sweeter, more accessible to the average American, to the average Western person. And that is what Sajid is angry about, because people like Sajid and Daniel Kikachu, for example, they want to be brutally honest about Islam. They want you to say what is truth about Islam. If Islam says we kill those who leave Islam, if Islam says those who insult Muhammad will be punished, then they want to say that. They want that to be spoken honestly and directly. They do not at all appreciate the approach that Jonathan Brown has, who tries to trick us all and lie to us all in order to eventually get to the same result. So that is actually what is going on here. What's going on here is not that these people have a different understanding of Islam. These people just have different methods and different approaches that Sajid is angry about.
I do have one clip of Jonathan Brown that was one of my favorite clips of all time. He was speaking somewhere in the UK, and he was talking about Muhammad and so on. And this was back when Muslims had really bought into the myth that Aisha was much older. And so he's speaking, and then a Muslim apologist in the audience goes, one of the criticisms we get is, that Aisha was only 9 years old, but what do you think about the other sources which say she was older? And Jonathan Brown goes, what sources? And then he immediately just shot down some of the claims that are used. So I did like that. But we have had a bunch of people, Tatiana and Fred Sanford here, point out, why is this dude whispering? Right? I mean, he's in his room. It's like, is he trying not to disturb someone in the next room or something? Because he just talks like this the entire time. And I mean, come on. What's wrong with you, Muhammad Hijab? What's wrong? Gosh, come on, dude. What's happening here? I should start making videos like that.
Man. We gotta be careful. It's funny.
All right, so that's the Jonathan Brown. And now we'll have talk a little bit more about hijab here and what happened on Twitter.
And then there was also this, I don't know what happened. It was a couple of days on Twitter, posting ex-Muslims' wives and acting like a stand-up comedian and insulting them to the point where David Wood does some video where he's eating a page from the Mus'haf, from the Quran, and all types of craziness. I mean, it's like, how many times does somebody have to show you they lack hikmah with their da'wah?
That is the question for all of the Muslims here. How many times does someone need to show you that he lacks hikmah in his dawah, right? Because notice he's been building a case here. It's, hey, look at this. He had Yasser Qadhi in there and destroyed all of our confidence in the Quran. And then it was Jonathan Brown, and now everyone thinks that it's okay to mock Muhammad and that people don't need to go on a killing spree over this stuff. And then he's got dudes eating the Quran. And we could even expand on that with him and Ali Dawah. He even had AP ripping up the Quran. And then there was this frenzy of ripping up the Quran. Why did all that start? Guys, I would not have done that if hijab had not started blasting away at people's wives. I'd had Surah 6 verse 108 of the Quran in my pocket for a long time. I knew there would be a situation where this would arise, that if someone is hurling insults and abuse, you can actually put them in check by saying, okay, well, if you do this, then I'm going to do this to your book. I knew that. But if the situation had never risen, I never would have had to pull Surah 6, verse 108 out of my pocket. And so it's like, dude, where's your hikmah, man? Where's your hijab? Where's your hikmah?
Where's your hikmah, bro? Where's your hikmah, man? It is funny. I just wanted to say something. I forgot what was on my mind, but yeah, it feels kind of nice. Like I feel this sense of sympathy that this guy Sajid is seemingly reprimanding Muhammad Hijab because he went on social media to harass us and our wives, including me and my wife. He made sexual assault implications about my wife, dehumanized her, did many such things, and made excuses for those, and called all those who called him out on that weaklings and whatever it is. And Sajid is here and is like, and he's pointing out how that is crazy, and Muhammad Hijab should know better, and he should be advised better, and how often will he do these crazy things that damage Islam. And it's nice to see that. It's nice that this guy is telling Muhammad Hijab to be reasonable. But the issue that I have here all the time while listening to this guy, on the one hand, I'm thinking, hey, someone asked what is hikmah. Hikmah is wisdom. On the one hand, it is true, this guy seems like the reasonable guy, and this guy seems like he's telling Muhammad Hijab to calm down and to approach things reasonably and to, act more maturely and appropriately. But on the other hand, he's only doing that because he's sad that Muhammad Hijab is causing damage to Islam and to the Muslim community and to the Muslim to the Muslim Dawah movements. He's not he's not concerned for all the hearts that Muhammad Hijab breaks and for all the bad stuff that he does. No, don't mistake this issue. So don't build sympathy for this guy Sajid because he does that. This guy Sajid would be one of the first ones who would want me to be decapitated or executed under an Islamic state for what I am doing, and he would also want to punish David Wood, and he has made that quite clear before in how much he stands with Daniel Hikikachu and all that. So it's weird.
Yeah. No. So and that's kind of the issue, right? It's of course we would disagree with everything this dude wants to do in society, but if you are a Muslim and you are committed to Islam, what is the wisest approach that you can take? Well, it ain't going after AP's wife, right? That is not, because that's just going to cause a backlash against your religion. Ali Dawah should not be running around saying, we're going to kill you. Even if you want to, you have to be wise. You should be You should have the hikmah and know what you're doing, right? And
you shouldn't just say we're proud of that. You should be quiet first and later be proud of that once you do it.
And if you're Muhammad Hijab and you think, man, Islam has all these great answers, so I'm just going to get all these people on my show and they're going to give all these answers, you might want to figure out the answers first before you put them out there, because sometimes you won't get the answers that people like Sajid here want, and then you're going to be in trouble over it. So yeah, that's the situation. But yeah, notice when we're talking about eating the Quran and so on, ripping up the Quran from an Islamic perspective, and this is kind of what, at least for me, you were doing it for a slightly different reason. You were doing it to make a point about how is this more valuable than my life? How is this more important than a living human being? With me, it was just, hey, there's something in your book which Allah says should make you as a Muslim stop with the insults. And that's if someone's going to hurl insults back at your religion, insults and abuse back at your religion. You're supposed to stop. So for people like Sajid, they have that basic level of wisdom. And I think tons of Muslims are like this as well. They have that level of wisdom. Hey, I do not want to cross certain lines with people like David Wood or the apostate prophet, because I know what they'll do in response. I know that, and therefore I do not want to cross that line. with hijab is, be strong, your wives want real men, right? He was actually saying that some of the wives of the ex-Muslims actually want to be raped by their captors and stuff like that. He was saying disgusting stuff like that, right? And you should have the basic level of wisdom that says, maybe I don't want to go down that road because someone might come back at me a bit harder. All right,
or he came to our live chat on my channel, for example, and started talking about how
peeing on you and stuff.
Yeah, we should pee each other and have sexual activities.
Wow. Oh, and by the way, that I don't know if anyone brought this up because I only kind of skimmed through some stuff and then I watched this video by Sajid as well. That's the main reason I don't think hijab should have done that interview with the transsexual Muslim. It's that hijab already clearly has some weird viewing preferences online and some weird fetishes. I mean, over and over again, we saw when he was sharing these comments, over and over we saw people would say, "I had to look that up. I had to look that up. Oh my goodness, how disgusting! But I had to look that up." Hijab seems to be familiar with all of this, and then in addition to him having, he's so with the wives of ex-Muslims, he's tossing out these veiled threats of rape and torture and bondage. Then he's tossing all of these golden showers comments at us. And then he has his interview and, let me get a transsexual on here that I want to talk to. It's like, dude, let someone else handle that one because there are already some people who are suspicious about, your viewing habits and stuff, but something's going. Dude, get someone else to do that one.
I have to point something out. I have recently seen this. I recently saw somebody post something. I'm not sure about this, but I feel like we might have some answers as to why Muhammad Hijab so freely talks about these very strange sexual things that he talks about online that he shouldn't be talking about. And I think one of the answers to that is someone shared a video in which they said this guy is the teacher, the mentor of Muhammad Hijab. And it is basically a video of some Islamic scholar / teacher at some Islamic institute in the UK. And that guy is supposedly, when you look at the comments, the teacher of Muhammad Hijab. And that guy basically talks to his own audience, to his own Muslim audience, while teaching them about Islam, about very explicit sexual things. Sexual toys and all that kind of stuff, and that is like, and people are like, what the hell? Like, how is this guy talking about this stuff? Muslims are commenting that. And
I was about to say, you can't talk about Islam seriously and go through the Muslim sources without getting very sexually explicit. Muhammad being covered in semen and things like that. But
no, he's getting much weirder, much more explicit, and talking about things that no Muslim ever talks about, that no Muslim scholar ever talks about. So I saw that and I thought, okay, this explains something, But I wanted to look into that more.
Gildan Diljet said, David, can I please sample your escalator comments for one of my dubstep songs? Yep, you can do whatever you want for your dubstep songs. All right, let's get down. I think we're getting down to. We do need to burn through these real quick, because we definitely don't want to go past the next hour. But yeah, so we'll just. I have 3 clips left, so we'll do these kind of rapid fire. Pull up
3 clips.
Yeah, but these are kind of the advice at the end. But okay. All right, let's check this out.
I guess the straw that broke the camel's back was this last interview where Muhammad Hijab has somebody on from the LGBT community, somebody saying they're a Muslim, wearing hijab and makeup, and actually having a video of this individual. Why would you have a video of somebody like that where you have your Muslim listeners, hundreds of thousands of them who subscribe to your channel, looking at this man who shaved his face, has on makeup? You're laughing and carrying on with them. I mean, I guess it finally drove some people to speak up and say, look, enough is enough. Okay, so I would agree with that. I would say, subhanAllah, enough is enough. It's very sad. Like, we need brothers who are giving proper da'wah.
Someone asked if this is Bob Ross's son. You even know who that is, AP? Bob Ross?
I don't know. I'm too young. I
He
guess.
he used to do these painting shows, and that's just a lovely tree there. But he'd
Oh,
whisper,
that guy.
he'd whisper
I
throughout
know.
the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that makes sense, right? It's like if Bob Ross's son converted to Islam and became, a diehard Salafi.
Radicalized. Yeah.
I just love seeing them kuffar beheaded. All right. Do we want to? We've already kind of talked about some of that. Do we want to get to these last couple clips here? All right. And
Even Muhammad Hijab himself has posted memes like showing that he himself knows, like, he does things that are just not wise. It's like spur of the moment types of things that have serious consequences. So I just urge all of us, like, if we suspect that we have a serious issue when it comes to having wisdom with our da'wah, we have a huge reach. We really need to hold each other accountable. I understand people, we have friendships behind the scenes and this and that, but when it comes to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I mean, how many mistakes and slip-ups does it take until somebody finally gets called out about it?
well, I hope it takes a lot more. That's just my view. Let's go ahead and watch this last clip real quick because he just gives his final bit of advice here to hijab.
Now, at the very least, please, I encourage, Muhammad Hijab. It seems like you shared that meme, and you can look at, I don't know, some of your behavior over the past couple of years where you've gone back and deleted things and apologized publicly for things. It's like, okay, maybe, ask some brothers who are trustworthy behind the scenes before you do things. I know some of these brothers, they wouldn't approve of you having Yasser Qadi on your channel. They wouldn't approve of you having Jonathan Brown. They wouldn't approve of you having this LGBT person on. They wouldn't approve of that behavior you had with David Wood and all the ex-Muslims and all that stuff that transpired. Akhi, please, for the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the sake of the ummah and all the fitna that gets caused through people like you and I who make these public videos, who have a following, like it really matters what we do.
Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah.
Now, if I were Sajid there, and I wanted Muhammad Hijab to have some hikmah, but he doesn't, and so you want to come up with some replacement hikmah, right? Because guess what, ladies and gentlemen, you either have the hikmah or you don't. If you don't have the hikmah, then you need to be under the authority of some other Muslims who have the hikmah, right? The hikmah, right? And they have the hikmah. And so he actually gives the best advice he can give to Muhammad Hijab there. Like, Muhammad Hijab, you keep making really, 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 really bad decisions that are leading people to doubt Islam, that are giving people ammunition to use against the Dawah, that are causing a backlash against Islam, causing people to desecrate the Quran and so on. You obviously do not have the hikmah. What you need to surround yourself by some wiser Muslims, and every time you come up with one of your brilliant ideas, oh, I got an idea. Huh. Me tell him golden showers. This me no good idea. Oh, golden. How me spell this, right? Before you do that, dude, you need to ask someone. You need to ask some wiser people around you. You agree? Golden shower coming good? Make me strong? Oh, make strong? No, dude, don't do that. Don't do that, right? So notice this is some people are very impulsive. They do whatever pops into their head and so on. And you either need to get some sort of self-regulation, or if you can't do that, you just need to surround yourself by some wiser people. So that's what Sajid is saying. But I will respond to Sajid and say to Muhammad Hijab, do not listen to him, Hijab. You do you, buddy. Don't listen to them. You're strong, dude. You're strong. They're all weak. They're all jealous of you. They're jealous of your popularity. So you keep doing what you're doing. Get anyone you want on your podcast, on your show. Who are these people that say they don't have anywhere near your followers? Why are they telling you, the great Muhammad Hijab, what to do? Don't listen to them, dude. You just keep doing your dawah the way you do it. And,
you know what's funny?
And we'll be watching.
We'll be watching. What is funny is that I think one of the first things that Muhammad Hijab was trying to point out in response to Sajid's video was that he makes a public video which will probably get thousands of views because he mentioned Muhammad Hijab's name in the title, and he was directly trying to imply that Sajid was also doing this for publicity and for views.
I can get it up here.
Yeah, and he was doing this, and the shaitan, the Satan, would find a way to Sajid's heart in more than just one way, which implies that Sajid is doing this for the publicity, to be recognized as a public figure alongside Muhammad, egoism, views, and all that stuff. And many of Muhammad Hijab's fans also then asserted that Sajid only made this public video to get popularity and to get views over Muhammad Hijab, which is very funny. Do you want to read the tweet quickly? Where is that?
Yeah, I got it here. It says, matter of fact, let's go back just slightly because these kind of tie it together well. But so notice at the top here we have, if you want to be we read this earlier, but watch how it ties into the one right below that. If you want to be a public dawah personality, this is what you should expect. 1, become unemployable because of your tweets. 2, become a target for non-Muslims because of your tweets. 3, become a target for many Muslims who don't agree with you because you keep destroying Islam. 4, strain your family life. And 5, be in physical threat. Yeah. If only we knew what that felt like, AB. All right. So then right before that we had, why do people seek popularity when even a little bit of it causes so much pain and distress in life? You're constantly reminded of your mistakes and become a target for both friends and foes.
It's so hard.
I'm about to... If I could cry, I'd be crying right now for him, man. It's sad. All right. And then we notice, and guys, this is why I talked about that that sort of big boy beta complex, right? The big boy beta complex, the person who's always been big and strong, and therefore he's been treated like he's this really tough dude, even though psychologically he's not. Notice how quickly Hijab goes back and forth, right? Like, me strong, me crush you, me go for your wives. Oh, as soon as any criticism, it's so hard. Will anyone protect me? I can't believe it. People are criticizing me. All right. So Muhammad Hijab here said, right there in the middle, brother, if you feel you have advice to give me.
Sorry, go ahead.
So this is his reply to Sajid.
Okay.
Brother, if you feel you have advice to give me, you could take my number from Fareed or Daniel and give it to me personally, making a video with my name on it, which will get many thousands of views, may give the shaitan an entrance into your heart in more ways than one. So maybe, Sajid, maybe it's you who lacks the hikmah.
You don't have the hikmah.
You ain't got the hikmah. Oh, hey, dude. Hey, you guys are talking about mixing up songs, man. You need to mix up some. You don't have the hikmah, because that's the way to go. The hikmah. All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead and continue. Just wanted to read that since you referred to it.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah. So
I wanted to say something about this. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. That's what you were saying. So here's what I want to point out. Muhammad Hijab is directly pointing out that Sajid is doing this for publicity, and many of Muhammad Hijab's fans are also pointing out that Sajid is probably doing this for publicity because he wants to get views over Muhammad Hijab, because he wants to be an authoritative figure. And the issue is, it is part of it. I'm sorry, these Muslim apologists might argue as much as they want that they are only doing this for Allah and for the Ummah and whatever it is, but no, it is publicity is part of this. It is always there. It is always within this, and there is absolutely no use in denying that. I'm very sorry. And here's the hypocrisy that I want to talk to you about quickly. I also have a surprise to you, David, by the way.
Sweet.
Sajid Lipham is, or whatever his name is the guy who is telling people that they should not talk about ex-Muslims, they should not talk about critics of Islam, they should not talk about David Wood and Apostle Prophet and transgender people and this and that because it all causes doubts and we shouldn't go after, publicity and this and that. But I just went on Sajid's video, which we are currently watching. Yeah, I went on his video, which we are currently watching, and I have this tool which shows me which tags the creator of the channel used in the video. And guess what? Sajid used 3 tags for his video to make it, to make the algorithm arise and make that video popular. Those tags are Muhammad Hijab, Yasser Qadhi, and David Wood.
Nice. No, wait, Hijab got this one right. Right? He's in it for the views. Mm-hmm. But guys,
and he's including you. He's talking about how we shouldn't talk about these figures, but he used you as a tag to his video.
But this is, guys. So think about this situation, because the more mature Dawah generation, scholar generation, apologist generation, they're being pushed out and marginalized for saying things that don't agree with what this younger generation has been raised to believe by these same guys, right? So now they're going after each other. And if you see someone like Hijab doing the stupidest things you've ever seen in your life, I mean, just wrecking people's confidence in Islam, just practically begging people to desecrate the Quran, right? You see someone doing all of this, you got to keep your mouth shut, because if you open your mouth, then you're just trying to get popularity, right? You're seeing this guy is so popular. Guys, called it, been calling it. I said, as these guys get more and more popular, they aren't going to be able to take it. Anyone who disagrees with them, how can you disagree with me, right? It's like when Candace Owens and what's her name? That rapper, Cardi B were having their Twitter feud. And I didn't see the actual feud. I saw some videos that people made going with the back and forth exchange. But Cardi B was saying, how can you disagree with me? I know more about you. I pay more taxes and I have the #1 song, right? You get to a mentality of, look how popular I am. If I were wrong, how would I be so popular? So guys, if you think Dawah is creating some monsters now with people like Hijab and Ali Dawah, I believe these guys will eventually pass us, right? I believe these guys are eventually going to pass me. They're going to be massively popular because there are so many people out there who have a similar mindset. So Ali Dawah is going to get even bigger. Muhammad Hijab's going to get even bigger. And if you think they got some problems now, wait till they have even more people cheering them on, and there's no one left to sort of rein them in. It is going to be epic. Everyone will be cheering them on, and I will be one of the people cheering them on.
And you know what? We'll be watching.
We'll be watching.
Yeah. I got the Hikmah boy. I want to give my friendly advice. I have Hikmah. I have the Hikmah. I got the Hikmah, and with my Hikmah, I want to give the Hikmah and the advice to the Nasiha, to the Muslim apologists who are going on YouTube and making YouTube videos and trying to spread Islam through YouTube videos. You have to realize, dear Sajid, dear Muhammad Hijab, dear Ali Dawah, dear Daniel Kikachu, and whatever your names are down there, you have to realize one thing. If you have the Hikmah, then you realize that if you are on YouTube and you get views and you get likes and you get subscribers and publicity and all that, you start feeling important. And like Muhammad Hijab, like Sajid, and like Daniel Kikachu, because when people watch you and they ask you these questions and they ask for your approval, it makes you feel important, and you don't want that. You don't want to be distracted by such things. You want to focus on only serving Islam, only serving Allah, only being slaves to Allah. You don't want to be masters. You don't want to be people that people look up to. So here is what you should do. What you should do if you have the Hikmah. Close your YouTube channels. Close your YouTube channels. close your YouTube channels, delete your videos, take them down, forget about likes, forget about views, forget about subscribers. Don't make excuses. Don't say, well, it's only for, to reach the public and to spread the message and to spread the, no. It plays with your message, with your goals, with your ego, with all of that. It distracts you. It makes you go astray. Like Muhammad Hijab, who has done very crazy things because of the publicity and because of the respect that he receives from people. In order to avoid all of that, in order to get rid of all of that, there is only one right thing that you must do, and you know that is true if you have the hikmah, which I have. Close your YouTube channels, delete your videos, say goodbye, say thanks for everything. Don't even say thanks, just thank Allah. Don't say thanks to the people, because that will also give you some form of arrogance. Close your YouTube channels, go away, hide, and be done with this. Be done with this. Be done with this. Get the hikmah. This is all I have to say.
All right. Now, Muhammad Hijab and Ali Dawah, ignore everything you just heard. If you just think about it from an Islamic perspective. If you have no hikmah and you're born without hikmah and you can't do anything to get the hikmah, then it's because Allah doesn't want you to have the hikmah. He just wants you to go out and smash and threaten everyone, and that's what he wants, right? So don't listen to AP. Don't listen to Sajid. You do you. You be the hijab with no hikmah. Go out. Just keep doing it. Just keep steamrolling everyone. And always remember, anyone who tells you otherwise, anyone who tells you hijab, that is the stupidest thing anyone has ever done in the history of Islamic apologetics. Just understand, man, that person's jealous of you because you're so great, because you're strong. You're strong.
Decide where the hikmah lies. Decide where the hikmah is, bros.
Yeah. Who needs hikmah? Yeah. Who needs hikmah, dude? Who needs hikmah when you've got hits? Who needs hikmah when you've got subscribers, huh? Who needs hikmah when you have so many people cheering for you, huh? Hikmah. Overrated, dude. Overrated. Don't listen to any of these dudes. All right.
So if we weren't given hikmah, it means you were born that way. You were born without hikmah. You should. Yeah.
No hikmah for you. Not now. Not ever. Live with it. And keep doing what you're doing. All right, thanks to AP for joining me now. Just want to remind everyone the link to AP's channel's in the description box if you're not subscribed. Also, he just had another little kid, and so his Patreon link is in the description box as well. The biggest burst of of patrons AP and I have ever gotten were both from Muhammad Hijab.
Thank you so much, Muhammad Hijab. Thank you so much for this move.
That's why we love your lack of hikmah, dude. We love your lack of hikmah. But also, everyone, so yeah, AP is going to have some new costs in life. So if you want to sign up, link to his Patreon is in the description box as well. All right, thanks everyone for joining us, and catch you all next time.
And stay away from Islam. Have the hikmah.
Get the hikmah. Stay away from Islam.